What if I were to suggest that you play a key role in the awakening world? And that you are watching this because you have heard the call. We can start right now by opening our hearts and minds. Welcome to the awakening world.
You're muted. You're muted.
Thank you very much for pointing that out. Okay.
So wonderful to be here with you and with you in person.
It's
Can
amazing.
you all believe it? We're here
In person.
actually next to each other.
It's really, really wonderful. You know, that song you just heard, that's Kristin. And
So
of
the
course,
opening and
the
Pookie
opening
and Bob.
and Pookie and Bob. And we just so appreciate this amazing angel who is here with us in person. We are at the Haven, and it's going to be a very magical evening. So welcome, everybody. And what we thought we would do, just so you know, for the timing, I'm going to chat with Kristin a little bit. I'm going to chat for a little bit with a couple of the other people here in TwinRay land. We are at the Haven, which is their beautiful place here in downtown Ashland, Oregon. And then there's going to be a couple of Omashore songs. There's going to be a meditation. And then the TwinRay will join us. And the TwinRay and Kristin are going to do a Satsang. And a Satsang is described as a discourse in community or a spiritual discourse in community. And so we're going to weave back and forth. We're going to take some questions for the TwinRay while Kristin plays music. So a little music, a question, a little more music,
Kind of like
some
the
wisdom,
Awakening World
kind of like the awakening world.
is a satsang.
It is a Satsang.
It is. It's exactly a satsang. There's a theme. There's questioning into the theme. There's music. There is deep feeling and sharing. It's definitely a satsang. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah, maybe we'll have a new catchphrase, the awakening world, a Satsang
Yeah.
for consciousness. All right, so tell us a little bit about what it's like for you to be here at the Haven. It's your first time here.
Well, I would say it is impeccably gorgeous. And everything is just perfectly aligned and high vibration and filled with beauty. And you step in and you feel very peaceful and grounded and inspired and energized. It's really quite something.
It is. It's
And just setting up in the Haven has been a joy, where sometimes setting up equipment is, there's a little, it's equipment,
but you have
but there's
support.
been beautiful, it's been in flow and feeling really aligned. And so I'm very grateful, very grateful. I can't wait to share music in this room now. Oh,
So we're gonna have time for like a couple questions from you. So if you've got a couple questions for Kristin specifically, let us know. And I've got one.
okay.
What's it like for you to perform live? I've never seen you perform live. Well, I did in
No,
LA,
I was
in
gonna
LA,
say
in LA,
you did.
and at my
And
retreat,
yes.
at my retreat. That's true.
Well, I would say live, in-person live feels like you're actually able to really tap into everyone in the room in a visceral way.
Mhm.
But I would say that online live has been surprisingly visceral as well, but in slightly a different form.
Mhm.
But I feel both live online and live in person, there are different qualities, but always qualities of connection. And for me, live in person, live online, that is where the magic is.
Mhm.
Whenever people gather in a circle of love, as a musician, I feel like that's where everything gets activated and I'm really able to tune in on the highest. Of course, I still love singing on my own and whatnot, singing in nature, but there is just something when a group of people are holding a space together and then you call in music.
Mm.
There's nothing like it,
Do you get,
especially improvisational music live.
do you still get nervous?
I wouldn't say that I get nervous, but each unique experience, I would say there's an anticipation
Mhm.
of the experience. And what I do is I just really try to calm and ground and say, here I am in my presence, and whatever I need to bring or allow or step into in this experience, I will do so. And then that just puts my whole system at ease. So if you are a person who gets nervous before any events or presentations, I highly recommend just first, my number one is that I remember it's a sharing. It's not a performance, it's a sharing. And I invoke the space of the sharing and of the collective, and that we are all sharing and creating together. And right away that sets my whole system just at ease. And then I say, I have everything I need to be present and handle every situation and all of the magic that's going to come, all of the beauty. So I love it. It's a surprise.
Hey, Craig, can you turn the camera on so that I can just check that? And I think I just saw somebody very special that you might want to say hello to. I think you know this guy.
You can hear
He,
that.
he probably does.
My beloved is on the screen.
Yeah, that is her beloved. I will.
Ready.
Yep. And there's a little, oh, well, I meant to unpin him actually. Surprise. No. Um, This is one of those very spontaneous kind of show. All right, let's see if there's any questions for you. Mark Danisovsky is back with us. All right. Mark, is doing a big gig in Houston.
Beautiful.
So welcome, Mark. We've got time for one question for Kristin. What have you always wanted to know? What is the question?
Welcoming the question. The question.
The question.
It is the question.
Well, while we're waiting for a question, there's Mark Danisovsky. Welcome back, Mark. Hey, buddy.
Oh, Mark is speaking, but we cannot hear Mark.
We can't hear you.
But we love you, Mark.
Yeah.
We do.
Welcome back. Mark was the sound. Mark does great sound. I just want everybody to know he does great sound, except for for his own thing.
I got it now.
All right. Hey, how did it go in Houston?
Houston was fantastic. I was at the Alley Theater performing in a 300-year-old Italian comedy called The Servant of Two Masters. It was the birth of slapstick, actually. And it was an incredibly funny show with some of the best actors in the country and standing ovations every night. And they stuck me in a suite in a Hilton for 2 months. So.
Wow, nice.
But last Wednesday, I played at a Sufi camp. Adnan Sarhan was a great Sufi master who traveled the world. So in New Mexico, I played a beautiful concert in in New Mexico in the mountains at a Sufi camp. So
Oh, that sounds absolutely divine.
Yep.
Wow.
All right, well, welcome back, Mark. We love you.
Yep.
Okay, we got our question for you. Tarina from Ecuador asks, what inspires you the most?
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Dorina. I would say definitely what inspires me the most is it's a combined thing. Going into nature and feeling and opening to spirit to really come through.
Okay.
So the combination of nature and just really opening to spirit, to my higher self, and really allowing both my love for Mama Gaia and then my love for spirit to really be infused into my being. That is my favorite, most inspiring time, I think.
And it comes through in your music because your love of the earth, your love of humanity, you know, your love comes through your music so beautifully.
It's very easy to feel love when you're in connection with both earth and heaven at the same time. I feel like that is a key. And I find that going into nature also just clears anything that's getting in the way of being inspired or creativity. So giving yourself that gift of just going for a little walk and opening and letting light just flow through you, it is the antidote to just about anything. At least that's my feeling. That's my feeling. I always get inspired.
Well,
Thank you, Dorina.
thank you, Dorina. I'm going to bring up a couple of other beloveds. And again, for any of you who got here a little bit late, you're about to meet Liz, one of the TwinRay beloveds. What do you think? Oh, do we?
I'm just setting your settings
Okay.
while you're speaking.
Okay.
Don't worry. You go ahead.
I should have original sound off.
On.
On.
If you're,
Isn't
if
it
you're,
on now?
Yeah, I just put it on.
Oh, you did just put it. Okay, great. Thank
I'm
you.
just checking your other.
Okay, good.
Don't
good.
mind me. Don't
All
mind
right.
me.
Kristin really, this is from Mark. He says, Kristin really taps into the collective soul when she's performing. I admire her clear connection. And I'm going to give you all a little view. You'll see it in a moment, but this is where we are, and everybody's kind of, there's Tanchila and Charlie. So people are arriving. So say hello to the Awakening World audience. Hello. As everybody's kind of getting ready. All these beautiful beings. Yeah. So, so we're going to meet two of the other core members, and then we're going to get started. Liz, do you want to come on up?
Are you wearing jasmine? I was wearing it, and I put on the jasmine.
Absolutely divine. Oh, yeah.
So there's all sorts of wonderful people here who have moved to Ashland, Oregon to be part of this community. And of course, you know, at the center is the TwinRay, but what I really love is this community. It's a beautiful community. And Liz is one of the wonderful people here. She just got back from Peru. She was in Peru with the beloveds. So tell our audience a little your story. You can go ahead and look at them
Hello,
and tell them a little bit about your experience of coming here.
I hope you're having a lovely night. So for me, TwinRay came to me. Do you want to admit this person?
Yeah.
Came to me. I used to host a show. Came to me in an Akashic Records session, which was amazing and magical. And you can't fight the Akashic Records. So I found myself studying up on TwinRay and just really being extremely impressed when I heard Sanandaji and Shekinah Ma talk, because they were talking about everything that I had been reading on, and all the esoteric stuff, all the astrology, all the religion, and it was like, well, I could keep going down this path and reading 500 books, or these teachers, it kind of seem like they know what they're talking about. They're just splitting seamlessly from, astrology to geodivinity and all sorts of stuff. So pretty quickly I went and looked on, they have a community app at the time, and you could kind of get a feel for who were the other people following them and their teachings, and all I saw was love. All I saw was love. And so it was pretty easy to head in this direction. And I went to my first retreat, and it was just like coming home. So just pure magic.
And you moved here
love.
from?
Moved here from Minneapolis. You can probably hear the accent. You betcha. So
Beautiful.
yeah.
And last question, what is something that you've learned or experienced that's really been life-changing?
Oh gosh, like so many things. To narrow it down, I think that everything that I believe to be true about how humanity could live, I've learned is true. After years of people telling me through the programming that it was not. So here's my thing, miracles. Miracles, you can have miracles every day. You just have to be open to them. So being open to the idea that anything and everything is possible every single day. Life-changing, right?
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to give you the key to my car.
Ooh! See, this is what you
See,
get if you
that's
come
what
on
you
the
get.
show.
She,
The keys
miracle,
to Scott's car.
she needed a new car, right? So there you have it.
Thank
and you
you.
make sure somebody's out
Okay.
at 7-ish.
Okay, no problem. Do you want me to bring someone else up?
Nicholas.
Okay,
Yes.
Nicholas is
Yeah,
next.
Nicholas.
Thank you. Bye, y'all. Much
And
love.
Jasmine Bear is here. She is now the official TwinRay mascot. She's got her TwinRay t-shirt on. So, Nicholas, have a seat. So, of course, yoga is a very big part of Awakening World and consciousness. And this is Nicholas, who helps to manage the store, helped create the Haven, and he does all the yoga classes here. And welcome back.
Thank you.
He just got back from a retreat. So tell our audience a little bit about kind of your journey of discovering TwinRay, coming here, and how it's impacted you.
Okay.
And you can just talk directly.
How much time do we have?
Like 5 minutes.
Well, yoga is my passion in life, and it's not about the exercises, though they are very cool and special. But as we all know, as we're learning, it's about the experience, the union, the connecting to that sweet spot, our truth, which we're all longing for. And for me, yoga is hands down just the greatest practice because it's direct. It's within you. Nothing can give you that. You know, what you feel is what's real. And yeah, so yoga is my dance here, my greatest joy to offer and share from my experience what I've learned. And my greatest prayer and what has me here in Ashland is actually to potentially learn from Sanandaji himself of some really amazing practices yet to discover yet. Some Christed yoga, he calls it. And I have been initiated into one specific breath work here through Sanandaji, and it's by far the most intelligent, coherent, and powerful practice that I've learned throughout my journeys.
Wow.
And so I'm very excited for that. And so we're sharing yoga here and growing and building slowly and learning from him. And I think we're going to be offering some of the most powerful experiences, yogic experiences, and just experiences of love here at Haven. That's my commitment, and that's what I show up for every day and pray into the space. And here we are.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, you all can come to Ashland and learn yoga, or practice yoga, I should say, with Nicholas here at the Haven. And I'm imagining some of you, I know Pamela might be someday coming here, Pamela Luz Butters, and we love you, Pamela.
There. Seeing all my family there, it's so wonderful.
I meant to put on Pamela and somehow we got Mark. Let me come back.
Dressed in yoga clothes.
Hey, Pamela.
There we go. Yeah. So Pamela, are you going to make your way to Ashland sometime soon?
Absolutely. And like I said, I'm dressed in yoga clothes. I'd jump in right now. I can't wait. It's just so wonderful to see all of you. I just want to hug and squeeze everyone. It's just so wonderful.
We want to hug and squeeze you too. We're looking forward to seeing you.
Can't wait to do it in person.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Nicholas, and we'll be getting to know Nicholas more. And please come to Ashland. As you know, I'm moving here. There's a beautiful community, so come and visit. And we're going to go to an Omashar song and then a meditation.
Okay.
Thank you so much. God bless you. All right. So let's go to an Omashar song, And then we're going to have a beautiful meditation from Deborah, and then we will hear from the beloveds.
Okay, wonderful.
So I'm putting the spotlight on our partner here.
May I sit there?
Our beloved Deborah Juliet.
Online and welcome. Can you hear me right? Thank you so much for coming tonight. I would love to invite all of you now to center into all of your beautiful hearts and to anchor into the most precious island that is within yourself. That is what you are, and that is love. So if you want, we please close our eyes and we try to sit as straight as we can so that the light can really fully enter into all our chakras and into our heart. And we ideally put our right hand on our heart chakra and our left hand on our stomach and our abdomen, or the solar plexus chakra. And we deeply take a deep breath into the left hand. And we breathe in all the love and light that is surrounding us. And we try to hold it for 1 or 2 steps, and we breathe out everything that we really don't need and don't want anymore. And one more time, we deeply breathe in all the way deep down into our belly. All the love and light, and we hold it. And we observe the thoughts and let them go back to the universe. And we breathe out everything we don't need. And one more time, we deeply breathe into our abdomens. And we make a big Santa Claus belly. And we hold it. And now we breathe out everything that we don't want and we don't need anymore. And now we anchor in and connect the ray of light within us all the way up to the central sun. And we connect that light deep down into the center of Mother Earth. And we feel how we get pulled on both sides and how we get taller and stronger and even more filled with our divine light. And we take another deep breath in into our left hand. And we observe our thoughts and let them go and give them all the way to the universe. And we breathe out softly and with a flat abdomen again. And one more time, we deeply breathe in all the stars and the joy of all the children of this beautiful planet that we all are. And we slowly breathe out everything we don't want. And one more time, we deeply breathe in. Feel the light that is filling you. Every particle of your body now is sparkling and lightening up every particle of this planet and the universe, yes. And we deeply breathe out. And one more time, we breathe in through our crown chakra, all the light and love into our heart. And we let the love fill our entire body. And we breathe out slowly all the darkness that we don't need. And one more time, we deeply breathe in. Joy and the love. Oh, and I can feel each one of you so beautifully. And we breathe out. And one more time, we feel the connection to Mother and Father Divine. And we breathe out slowly. Everything we do. And one more time, we deeply breathe in. We make a big Santa Claus belly. And we hold it and really get rid of all our thoughts. And feel the peace within us. And we slowly breathe out. Do we all feel aligned now? Do we feel the 12 o'clock? We are in that beautiful ray that is the center pillar inside of us. That is connecting us with the central sun and the center of the earth. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. How do you feel? Okay. So one more time, we deeply, deeply connect. One last time with the love inside of us. And we hold it and let go of the thoughts. And we deeply breathe out. And one more time, we deeply breathe in into our left hand. Make a big belly. And we hold it and enjoy. And we enjoy now that peace and that silent mind. Beautiful. And we deeply breathe out. And one more time, we deeply breathe in the love. And I can feel all of you absolutely centered and silent and enjoying it. Yes, and we feel the light in all of ourselves, and we deeply breathe out what we really don't want and need anymore. And one more time, we deeply breathe in all the love and light and give and feel the roots down in the earth. How centered we are now. Do you feel the stable connection with the heart and Mother Gaia? And we deep breathe out the darkness we don't need. Very nice. And one more time, we deeply breathe in the love. Stars, the shining light that you all are. Oh yeah, I can feel it so much. We anchor in that love and light that we are. And we breathe out everything that is false and that is not useful for us. And one last time, we deeply breathe it all in. And we feel that we become like children again, free, free. Can you all feel the wings that you have? Can you all feel your beautiful wings? And you feel free and joyful. And we let the thoughts go to the universe and slowly breathe out. now we anchor in deeply that beautiful connection with Mother Earth and our sun, our central sun that is giving all the love and all the life to every being. And we send our gratitude for everything that we could experience and that helped us on our path, and everything that will happen and is already there for us. And we slowly breathe out everything we don't want. And now we deeply breathe in the left hand. Peace that we want to manifest for the entire planet and the universes. For all the children of the light. And we feel the connection. Yes. And we deeply breathe out. And one more time, we see the golden age, how we want to manifest it, how it unfolds in front of our beautiful eyes. And we send our love and gratitude to all the children of the light, so that they can connect to our beautiful love and peace. And we deeply breathe out. And one more time, we bring life into the beautiful vision that we all have for our beautiful planet. Because all of you are children of the light and you know it. Yes, and we share our joy, and we breathing out, we share all the joy to all the beings everywhere. And one more time, we deeply breathe in the love and the joy and happiness of all the children. We hold that beautiful vision that we have. And we breathe out all the gratitude that we want to breathe out all the time. And one more time, we deeply into our left hand. Breathe in the peace and the love that I can feel so clearly now. And all, if you want all the angels and all the unicorns and all your beautiful beings that you love so much, they're all invited and they're all surrounding us right now. Yes. All the fairies. And we breathe out slowly, and everything is going to be wonderful. And one more time. We enjoy this beautiful moment in which we are connected and getting so strong. And getting stronger and stronger. And our wings are unfolding, and we deeply breathe out. Very beautiful. And one more time, all the joy and happiness. We're breathing it all in. Into our left hand. And we feel every single particle rotating and swirling and having full of light. Everywhere, and we shine this light out now. And breathe it all out. one more time, we deeply breathe in. All that you ever imagined for the golden age. All that love and peace for all beings. And we hold that vision, and everything else may go away. And we deeply breathe out. And one more time, we deeply breathe into our left hand, to the solar plexus. Mother Earth, its force, and the divine light into the solar plexus, and we feel that sunlight beaming out of us into the entire universe. Yes, and we feel how we are shining and shining and shining. And we breathe out everything we don't want. And one more time, we deeply breathe in the love and light and joy that you all came to manifest and to experience every single second. That is your birthright. We feel our beautiful wings, how strong we are, and we breathe it all out. Slowly, slowly, slowly. And one more time, we deeply breathe, slowly, into our left hand. We feel all our hearts, how connected we all are. With everyone, we are all the branches of the same tree, and we can feel it. How we are balancing in the rhythm of life all together in peace and harmony. And when we breathe it out together for peace and harmony on this planet, yes. And we take another deep breath in. Breathe in that peace and harmony that we are. And we feel it deeply in every cell, from top all the way down through all of our chakras and all of our cells down to the feet. And we deeply breathe out. And one more time, we feel the connection all the way from the center point of Mother Earth, all the way up to the central sun. We hold it. And we feel the connection back to Mother Earth all the way down. When we breathe out. And one more time, we deeply breathe in. All the love that we can in between those two center points. Because that's the truth. That's really what we all are. And we feel, can you feel that love in your heart chakra? In your right hand? And we hold it. And we deeply breathe out. And our left hand becomes flat again. And one more time, we breathe in the peace and quietude in our brain, in our mind. How peaceful we become now. And every thought, we put it into a balloon and let it fly all the way up to the central sun. She will take care of it. And we breathe out. And one more time, we deeply breathe in. The depth of the harmony, the depth of the love, the depth of the silence of the mind. Yes. And in that silence, we feel the peace and the harmony. And of course, all the abundance that is waiting for us to manifest. And we deeply breathe out. And one last time, we deeply breathe in the love and the joy and all the light that we all are. And we hold that love inside of our heart chakra. And we feel the connection between all the beings, all of us that we are here. All the beautiful wings that I can feel for all of you. And we deeply breathe out that beautiful peace and harmony. And one last time, deeply breathe in. That centered, very centered, quiet mind and love that we are. That is the truth and the wisdom. And we hold that joy and love and wisdom and the power that comes from it. And we anchor it all in. And we know that now we are in that truth. In that beautiful truth we came for. In this lifetime to experience it fully. And we deeply breathe out.
There's the others coming in. For our Awakening World audience, Omashar is going to play a short song, and then we'll get started with the relationship satsang.
What if we could find a way to wipe away all tears and fears, all broken hearts, to clear the way for a brand new start? Now that we see and know the way to lift our day and shine the light for all to see, the way back home and the way to be free. Let our love lead the way. Let the light shine through all. Let our hearts and minds be free. As we rise up from the fall, there is a way to see again, to be again, to know the truth and smile again. With an open heart we feel safe again. And now that we're free and we see that the way is to let our love show us a new way to be, and we relish the chance to be part of the dance that will recreate the world anew. What if we could find a way to wipe away all tears and fears, all broken hearts, to clear the way for a brand new start? Let our love lead the way. Let the light shine through all. Let our hearts and minds be free. As we rise up from the fall, there is a way to see again, to be again, to know the truth and smile again. With an open heart we feel safe again.
Thank you very, very much, beloved Omashar. And I'm going to swing over here. We're doing a little something different tonight. Balancing our live stream Awakening World audience of our beloved TwinRay, and all of you are here live. And this, of course, is the kickoff of the Haven 2.0. Welcome. And so to kind of combine things, I'm going to combine a first question for our Satsang. Satsang is defined as spiritual discourse, so we're going to go back and forth between wisdom, questions, and answers, and music with beloved Kristin Hoffmann, who is here. And a big part of what we want to build the foundation of Haven 2.0 in is Seva. And so thank you everybody for being here. Thank you everyone for donating. And we're very blessed that the people that we're donating to is Celia's house. And Alexandria is here with us. Would you come on up, Alexandria? Yes. So this is Alexandria from Celia's house. I'd love for you to share a little bit about Celia's house and how we can support you.
Yes, thank you. I'm so grateful to be here tonight, and that was a lovely intro, and I really enjoyed that, so thank you. So I guess I'll start by asking you all, maybe with a raise of hands, how many of you have heard of Celia's house in the Southern Oregon community? Okay, so a couple. That's why I'm here. Not too many people have. And so my name's Alex. I do the communication and outreach for Celia's house, and it's the best job I've had. I worked several places, and it's a very special nonprofit. So the nonprofit that runs Celia's house is called Southern Oregon Friends of Hospice. So we're an end-of-life care facility.
Any way to get closer to the mic?
Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, we can't hear you at all.
I forgot there was people on.
Yeah, we cannot hear you. Sorry.
All right.
Welcome home.
So my name is Alex, and Southern Oregon Friends of Hospice is the nonprofit behind Celia's House. So Celia's House is a end-of-life home in Medford, and we just celebrated 5 years. Bear with me. So we just celebrated 5 years. We've been in the community since 2018. And we started as a grassroots organization in 2009. So a group of people came together and they saw the way that end of life was happening in our community. And they wanted to see a little bit of a change for people who don't have the ability to die at home. And so essentially, the first thing that opened up was a hospice boutique, and it's still open. It's called The Hub, and it's in South Ashland, just right by Remix, and it's open to anyone. It's also available online for those who aren't in Southern Oregon. So you can actually support end-of-life care broadly in the state of Oregon and in your community by shopping at The Hub. And so the Hub's been open for about 13 years, and eventually enough revenue was given to us to open Celia's House. So the whole time the goal was to open this home for people who can't pass at home, but would like to pass in a home-like setting. So there's 12 rooms at Celia's House, and all of our beds are Medicaid eligible now. So we support all income levels. Part of what I do at Celia's House, aside from marketing and outreach, is fundraising. So we have a care fund that we fundraise for every year. And we try and build that fund every year so that people who don't have the financial means to move into Celia's House can do so if they don't have Medicaid. So some of our beds are covered by private pay, but a lot of it is actually our grant, the care fund, or Medicaid. And so we partner with 4 hospices in the area. I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Asante and Providence, and there's 2 more. And yeah, it's a great place to be. We have so many stories. I was just talking to a woman the other day, and she came to me in tears. Her mother just passed. And she came to me and said, you know, I'm so grateful that my sister and I were able to have my mom here, because of the other care that they had experienced was not as warm. And there's other places like Celia's House that are modeling really good care. So we definitely are not the beginners. There's Hopewell House in Portland and others across the state, but it is pretty limited. This is something that I would like to see everybody be able to have access to. I'm sure we've all in this room lost people that mean so much to us. And it's really hard when you have the extra burden of not feeling like they're being cared for in a dignifying way. So Celia's House, it's open to the public now, where you can stop by any time, Monday through Friday, during business hours, 9 to 5, and just somebody will give you a tour. I tour people around. I'll maybe when I'm done speaking, leave some information out if that's appropriate. And if you want to take it, you can. I brought my card and some of our reports and just things so you can read about us. And of course, our website is updated if you want to go on our website later. And there's volunteer opportunities. So we have 88 volunteers at Celia's House. Actually, that is how we got connected to Haven, which I'm so grateful for. I've been meaning to come here, and what a warm welcome. Wow. But yeah, so we have quite a few volunteers. That was what struck me when I started as a staff person. I said, I've never seen so many genuine, just hardworking volunteers. And yeah, they're all amazing. They're all people that have done great things in this community and now want to give back. And yeah, it's a great place. I encourage all of you to reach out to me, or I'll leave several other staff members' cards. And yeah, I feel very lucky to be here tonight. And I hope if anyone has questions, I can answer if I didn't cover everything, but I just appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So the way we're going to leave tonight is we're going to do approximately 5 questions and approximately 5 songs. One request for Irene or Ray, I texted you a couple of pages of a song that Kristin needs printed out. Okay. And let's go ahead with our first question about Seva and how that fits into this community.
Beautiful. Well, before we begin, I'd like to just present Shekinah Ma, as she won't be speaking tonight. She's been in deep devotion through her transmission of the songs that she's been working on for the album, and she's in full transmission tonight. So she's going to be in more silence transmission tonight, and it's really been amazing to see both of you in such co-creation and support, and it's been like very, very late nights for Shekinah Ma, working to both of them actually, but working to like 2 a.m. in the morning on this amazing album. It's definitely going to be phenomenal. I've never heard of anything, but of course I'm biased because I can't help it. But no, it's really special. It's very ceremonial, very, very entrancing as well. It brings such the medicine of the heart and such a powerful transmission. So I look forward to everyone getting to receive that. Now, just want to honor each one of you for joining us this evening and coming to Haven 2.0. We're breathing more life force into this sacred space, and yeah, as it was always meant to be. Really, our intention for the Haven was for it to be a community hub, to have that connection and have offerings and have different events and gatherings that are really inspired by the love of community and the love of the divine true nature and one's true nature as that love. And when you're tapping into that source of love, it inspires you to give and help and support and make a better world. And so that perfectly aligns with what Seva really is. Seva is an opportunity to give back, to help and support. And it doesn't have to be these large expressions of act. Seva can be simply giving someone a smile, asking someone how their day has been, helping someone in need at any level. But Seva ultimately is when you devote any action that you're doing to the all-loving one, the one true nature of all of our being, which is love itself, truth itself. And when you devote your life to that, then your life becomes an opportunity to give and dedicate everything to that, to dissolve the small self, dissolve the false narrative of the human conditioning, but align to your true nature. That is that love, that is that divinity, that is the true nature of where all of this manifested from. And so what we notice is when beloveds, and we love to call everyone beloveds because ultimately it's a reminder to be love and to express yourself as that love. And love isn't just this rainbow chasing perception of, happy endings. Love is truth. Love is a very, very aligned and anchored expression and grounded expression as well. Love is compassion in action. And so through being in a state of love, being an expression of love and being in service, that is a transmission that can also ripple out to the collective, no matter how small the task is or how large the task is. But ultimately, when we come together as a community and we are a force of goodness, then that obviously can affect lives. And everyone here, I'm sure, is wanting to give back in some way. And ultimately, Seva is sacred service to that very purpose.
such an honor to be here. Everyone, many blessings. I wanted to begin with a piece called Born, as we are all being born into this moment. The evolution of ourselves and just being present together. This song calls us in to this moment.
Can't hear.
There is a sound malfunction. Please fix it.
And all
Thank you, beloved Kristin. Who feels reborn? So we want to open up the semicircle and also just answer questions as we're here in sacred satsang. You know, satsang is also just singing from the heart, just speaking from the heart and expressing wisdom from the heart. And satsang doesn't have to be, you know, a teacher sitting on a chair. It's each one of us contributing to the space. It can be a child that's newborn that doesn't have to say a word, but can be in complete transmission from the innocence of their hearts. So satsang isn't such a formal thing as it is just a co-creation that we all partake in. And so this opportunity is to really answer and speak into anything and everything that beloveds would like to know or ask. So wanting to keep that open.
We have a question from the Awakening World audience.
Okay.
Gina in Ecuador asks,
Ecuador.
what advice would you give as to how this beautiful energy and community that we're in be replicated around the world?
Beautiful. Let's let Shekhinah transmit that through telepathy. She's talking so much tonight. She's very talkative. You know, it all really starts internally. You know, this came about through the love of each other, the love of wisdom, the love of truth. And when one taps into that authentic power inside oneself, you start resonating with others. You start feeling more connected, not only with yourself and with the universe, but with each other. And as you start experiencing that common unity, which is ultimately the love that you truly are, that unifying quality, that moves through you. And so how it manifests is quite effortless when you allow it to, how it moves through you, how it inspires you. And then everyone has their own genius, everyone has their own abilities, everyone has their own skills, and contribute them together. We can create like a micro expression of everyone's talents and everyone's colors and of the palettes of life, and ultimately connecting back into the hearts. There's this beautiful song inside each one of us, whether you're a singer or whether you're not, but you may express that song through art, you may express that song through words, that you may express that song through actions. But ultimately, when we come together and we express the song in our heart, the true deep meaning in ourselves, there's nothing that we can't accomplish. And so it helps to have a nice container. It helps to have, you know, big crystals and hold the frequency, but ultimately each one of you are crystals as well. And ultimately it's about coming together under the purpose and the direction of something that truly is indescribable, but when you tap into it, life makes sense. And when you start resonating with others and you start coming together in containers, you start cultivating more lights, then there's nothing that we can't achieve together. So we start with every breath, we start with every step, we start with every day. And ultimately we start by acknowledging that we're all one, where we truly are, beyond the masks, beyond the persona, beyond the identity. We are truly just one divinity. And however we choose to manifest that into the glory of this world is up to us. So I would start with love and end with love and continue with love. Is there any more questions? So everyone's silent. That's perfect.
So as we begin with love and end with love and go through our daily lives, you know, we experience different agitations, different agitations that may take us out of our balance or harmony, peace. And what is your advice to kind of go back and maintain that, and to, you know, we're in this process of remembering who we are.
Yes.
But when we've been trained to be someone else completely, it's easy to fall into that habit.
That's a beautiful question, and I'll repeat that just in case not anyone heard us. But you know, it's all nice to hear about beginning with love and ending with love, but what about in between, and when we get triggered and we get agitated, what's it mean then? Like, where's love then? And how do we remain in that state? And that's a great question, because ultimately coming together in community doesn't mean that everyone's perfect and everyone's all of a sudden a saint. You know, we've got to remember a saint is a sinner that never gave up. And so, you know, when we acknowledge that, it's not about, oh, okay, it's all about love and we have to sort of glaze over sometimes that there's uncomfortable truths that you have to face. Sometimes there's emotions that have to be dealt with. And it's not about having a veneer of everything being perfect and put the serenity mask on. No, it's about being courageous. But that's why we said in the very beginning that love is not this idealistic rainbow chasing world. Love is truth. And sometimes you have to confront yourself by giving yourself that tough love. But it's not really tough. It's that you have to go deep inside yourself to be honest. And when you're honest with yourself, or honest with the parts and pieces that don't necessarily, you know, feel comfortable in certain environments, you know, that's an opportunity to love yourself greater. You know, when we are confronted with things that make us uncomfortable, we forget that life's actually teaching us mastery. Sometimes there's these uncomfortable situations and we think it's the external problem. It's the person, it's the situation, it's what's happening in my life that's making me feel this way. But ultimately, it's happening because life is truly initiation. The reason for the soul's incarnation is solely initiation. And as you are initiated at certain levels, you know, what is initiation? Well, initiation is the opportunity for life's mastery. And when you step up in life's mastery, whether it's in relationship setting, family settings, you know, career settings, you know, just in communal settings as well, everyone acts as a mirror of one's unconscious mind. And when you're in a trigger, the opportunity that the choice ultimately is, like there's the choice of love and there's the choice of fear. Fear is the blame shame game that basically says that I feel like this because of you. Love is the acknowledgement that this is happening in order for me to rise, in order for me to actually acknowledge what I have to work on. It's happening for you. And so what we suggest is when there are those moments is be radically honest with yourself. But don't take your honesty out on somebody else. Don't take that honesty out on somebody else. Acknowledge your feelings, acknowledge how you're feeling. Don't suppress it, acknowledge it, accept it, but love that too. You embrace that too, in a healthy way. So we sometimes are quick to stop. We're quick to not stop and actually react. And it's sometimes the long game is to pause and actually respond. And we love the word responsibility. It's your ability to respond with greater mastery, greater virtue. And that's ultimately when you pattern recognize that when you respond in a way that's makes you feel bad, makes the other feel bad, and you respond in a reactive, programmed, conditioned way, when you respond in that way, it's going to create the same outcome. But when you pause and you stop for a moment, and you just stop and recognize your feelings, and you say that how I'm feeling, accept fully how you're feeling, but acknowledge that has nothing to do with the partner, with the child, with the sibling, with the family, with the environments. You actually give your power back to yourself. Instead of giving your power away consistently, you return back to the true authentic power that lies inside you, where you have mastery of your reality, the situation before you. And when you have mastery and you're not triggered and you're not reacting consistently, then all of a sudden your life becomes peaceful. And all the pieces that have been fragmented through the traumas and the dramas start coming together in a cohesive nature. And you just want to come from that space. And then that sometimes can trigger somebody tremendously when you're just not going to play that game. You're not going to play that game with them. It can be so triggering for them. It's like they want to reel you in and reel you in. But the act of love is to have actually compassion for what's actually happening. Because the surface is this blaming sort of agendaed process that's happening from triggers, but underneath, there's a wounded child. There's someone that didn't receive that love, didn't receive that attention, didn't receive that acknowledgement. And sometimes underneath that is you. And when you can rediscover yourself intimately, truly intimately, or being a community where there's many reflections all the time for you to go deep inside, but there's also much support for you. When you have that, then life becomes simple. Doesn't mean it's easy, but it becomes simple. And when you find the simplicity of the coherent signature inside you, which ultimately is unconditional love, when you really tap into that, you don't take life for granted in those moments. We're so quick to take life for granted, and we forget how much of a miracle this life is. We just want to blame this person and that person. We forget how limited many of us have the time on this planet. How limited life is and how precious life is. If we stop for one moment and think of someone that's actually transitioning, someone that doesn't have the opportunities that you have, other parts of the world that don't have the first world problems that so many entitled people have in the Western world. You stay in that space for one moment. Your thoughts and ideas of problems dissolve like dust in the wind. I think the more that we do that, the more that we humble ourselves in the face of love consistently, the more that we don't take love for granted, or others for granted, or life in general for granted.
Hey, beloved Sanandaji, can you hear me? Okay. There's a question here from Jonathan, and I was.
Are you having a side conversation, Scott? Are we not privy to this conversation?
Yes.
Hold on, let me turn off. Let me change this for a moment. Okay, go ahead, Omar Sharp.
Beloved Sanandaji, how lovely to be in your presence, both of you. This is Omar Shah, and I'm just looking at the chat box, and our beloved Zoom brother Jonathan would like to know what he feels like. I'd like to know what he feels like helps to connect with non-physical beings such as gurus or guides? That is Jonathan's question, and I did it. There you are, Jonathan. So namaste. I'm gonna leave now.
Thank you so much, Omana. Before you go, maybe just repeating that question so we can hear you.
Okay, this is Jonathan speaking. I am channeling him. I'd like to know what he feels like, helps to connect. He, I imagine, is you, Sanandaji. I'd like to know what Sanandaji feels helps to connect with non-physical beings such as gurus or guides.
Okay, so how I'm understanding that, got a little bit of an echo, so we're just gonna. Okay, perfect. So how we're hearing that and understanding that is, what does it feel like to connect with non-physical beings such as gurus and teachers? Is that
yeah? What can help?
Or how best to?
Yes.
How best to connect? Okay. Well, ultimately, the true guru is the true self inside every single being. So when you silence the minds and you get into a practice, whether it might be dancing, and dancing or twirling might just completely get you out of your mind and into an altered state. It might be meditating and being in stillness and silence. It might be just watching a beautiful sunset, a beautiful sunrise. It might be interacting in nature. It might be just looking at a loved one or feeling or remembering a loved one. It can be any precious moment. It can be poetry, it can be music. But ultimately, when you get out of the way of yourself, there's this powerful opportunity every single time that happens. Just plug back into that true nature. And again, I keep saying true nature. And the reason being is because we sometimes become so convinced that who we are is our name and our role and our body and our emotions and our responses, but we forget to look beyond all that. And when we have a moment that looks beyond all of that and taps into this slipstream of universal consciousness, it allows one to tap into really anything and anyone, anywhere, because ultimately we are all one as consciousness. And so connecting to a non-physical being, there's another aspect that it's important to recognize, is that some beings that don't have bodies perceptually, but they have more etheric bodies. Just like we have a physical body, or there's also an energetic output of this physical body, which we can call a subtle body, subtle energy, or also acknowledged as like a bioenergetic field. And so certain beings retain the sheaths of their bioenergetic field, and they live inside a more of an energetic body than a physical body. And sometimes, you can actually tune into them when you start tapping into that vibration. It's almost like when you slow down and you look out into the horizon, you sometimes can see these little particulates of energy just flying around everywhere. Who can see that? Who's ever seen that when you sort of go into more of a meditative state and you glance out and you see all these little particles of energy, but you didn't see them before? Where'd they come from? They've always been there, but you don't see them. But when you slow down and when you start tuning in, you start tapping into that energy. Well, sometimes when you come into a certain resonance, you can connect with beings that have preserved more of their energetic body, more of their subtle bodies. And ultimately, the ability to do that is to raise your frequency and purify your heart. And so how, for example, I have had contact with what would be perceived as non-physical beings, throughout my childhood. I was always talking to myself. and my earth mum would always say that I was talking to my invisible friends, but I didn't think they were invisible, because they were there to me. And honestly, that's just through the innocence of the inner child. So the more that you tap into the innocence of your own inner child, the more that you can tap into these unseen realities. what we see with our eyes is just a small, tiny spectrum of what is actually out there. And what we've found is the only way to tap into the full spectrum is through the spectrum of a pure heart. So I hope that answers the question.
You got a thumbs up from Jonathan Robbins.
Okay. Okay, great. Oh,
So,
lovely.
to take this idea of presencing and connecting and tapping into the full spectrum of our love and our hearts into a deepened state, let's bring through a solo piece together. This piece has never been written. We are going to hold this space together and just see what emerges out of this full spectrum heart space that we are all sharing in right now. Sometimes there may be words, no words, just send your love and we will feel it.
too tired to see. Sing along. These hearts are
Thank you. Hello, Kristin. Wow. Let's take a deep collective breath together. Beautiful. No, it's such a beautiful opportunity to acknowledge the lightness, acknowledge the expansiveness, acknowledge how connected you feel possibly to yourself and others when you are touched by an amazing artist or a song or a moment or nature. You know, there's a reality that isn't separate from this reality. There's actually not just a part of this reality, but is the foundation of all that we can perceive and can conceive in life. And when you tap into that, and you experience an untold bliss, an untold truth that's almost been hiding from you your entire life. And when you tap into that and acknowledge that, and bear witness to that, become absorbed to that, it starts revealing who you truly are and what all this truly is by unlearning all of these misperceptions that we've once had or once held. And so the love that we keep speaking about, you know, there's a practical aspect of it, of how it can help you in life, how it can guide you in life, how it can heal you in life. But there's an untold bliss, the true unconditional love, the divine love, that if you touch it for a moment, if you experience it for a moment, it dissolves all elements of suffering. It dissolves all misconceptions. And it ultimately frees you. But the you that it frees, this is where it gets a little bit tricky and somewhat of a paradox, because the you that it frees is the aspect that never was actually you, because you were always that freedom. You're always that love. So almost it pauses time and space, and you come into contact with something that opens you up to the rawness. And sometimes to get there, you have to be brought to your knees. Sometimes you have to be touched by an unseen hand. But when you are blessed enough to come into contact with that divine presence, it allows you to make sense of all of this, allows you to put all the pieces back together, and it ultimately frees you. So everyone's truly looking for that freedom. And that freedom is obviously inside us. But when we come together and embrace the freedom that we truly are, embrace each other as the freedom that they truly are, then that can emanate and ripple out to the world. And so our greatest intention is for each one of you to reach that freedom and taste that nectar of the holy love that has an endless supply. And you don't have to wait to transition from this life to experience it. It's waiting for you in this life. It's waiting for you right now. And sometimes, whether it's teachings, music, art, poetry, whatever it's nature, or just one moment it takes for you to never forget. When you touch that and tap into that, then all you want to do is light it up in everyone else that you see. And ultimately, that's what birthed this community, and that's what will continue to spread this community. So is there any questions that anyone? This is rare that there's no questions, so you must be so satiated.
There's this experience that one can have. You're in it, you're getting the codes, and you're doing the big work, and clearing the big things, and like you're just having this experience, right? And then you've got your business, and you're like, oh, now we gotta like make a living, you know? And there's this like experience that, you know, all the times that we've been the renunciate, and all the times, you know, the multidimensionality, and it's like, well, what reality are we really in? Because there's this one and this one and this one, but this is the 3D. And I could talk for a while, but to quintessentialize it is, how do we as like deeply devoted beings like embrace this rock of needing to take care of ourselves in the 3D without it feeling like lower and oh, we gotta like, I know there's karma and ancestry, and I'm working as fast as I can. There's this like natural integration, you know, not feeling like oh, that's lower, you know, what's not, but how do we celebrate?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'll repeat that. So how do we balance this 3D world with a spiritual life and keep it really in a level of mastery when we can understand that there's many different aspects of us, and sometimes we tap into those aspects from different past lives and different sort of parallel lives. And how do we stay in mastery and go deep on the path and do the inner work, and at the same time, you know, live in abundance and acknowledge that abundance and express that abundance and manifest that abundance and make sense of all of this simultaneously while living in your spiritual dharma? Yeah, it's a good question. So, you know, this is a very common question, by the way, and many would love to ask this. So thank you for asking this. And when it comes to doing spiritual work, the inner work, there is this belief that, okay, if I do this work internally, then life will reward me. I'll have some reward that will come from that. And it's not saying that life doesn't. But sometimes when you get so elevated that sometimes in life we forget to live in a way that can function in this third dimensional world. But ultimately, the spiritual path is a transcendence of the 3D world. So it's the simple analogy of living in this world, but not of this world. So whether you're cleaning the dishes, whether you're vacuuming the house, whether you're going to your vocation, whether you're in any situation, it's all about how you perceive it, how you choose to perceive it. If you choose to perceive it that's not you living in your full potential, then make new choices that reflects what you feel your true potential is. Because we ultimately say that it's all about finding your gift. You know, what is that gift? You have a gift. Maybe it's healing others. And I'm speaking directly for you. That's the gift that you have. You have that ability for the healership. And many have that ability. Sometimes it's helping guide and give direction and hold and give counsel. Sometimes it's being more of an artist. Sometimes it's actually something that may not look spiritual at all, but it's something that you love. But ultimately, when you express what you love to do and you find that gift, the purpose of that, you finding that gift, is to share that gift with others. And it's important not to focus on the financial aspects, you know, because the financial aspect sometimes makes us make these decisions that take away the essence that we know is inside of us. And so sometimes you have to re-imprint into your reality and make those choices that are upholding that frequency. And then you also have to have a look into the aspects that aren't congruent with the life that you want to live. So if you want to live that life, whatever that life is, ultimately it's a feeling. But you're never going to get there unless you have that feeling in your current life. Because we are soon to think that life would be so much better if I had more money or a bigger house or other opportunity or I had this relationship or I had this but we don't acknowledge that actually even when we're there, we could be completely miserable. We have to actually be happy with whatever our life is reflecting, because our life is reflecting exactly what is necessary. And then you ask for help. There's so many of us that forget to ask for help, forget to ask others to support us in other ways that we may not have those skill sets. You know, it's sometimes really difficult to play one role, but then play 12 other roles around that one role. You know, sometimes when you open yourself up and be vulnerable and ask for that support and ask for the ones that are calibrated and have that skill set, they can help you in life. But going deep down a spiritual path, there can be a tendency to get really serious. And we have to remind ourselves that not to be so serious and to laugh at ourselves and to enjoy the moments that make utter nonsense, that are no sense at all, and acknowledge that no one's really in control and you don't want to be. With this controllership and ownership, the ego wants to try to control its path and it wants to have this outcome. It has this definitive nature of success and wants to reach it. That is such nonsense. It really is. When we can actually acknowledge that we have no idea what's going on. We have no idea what's going on. And we don't want to. Truly. When we give ourselves so intimately and we surrender to what life does, it doesn't mean that we don't take our responsibilities and we don't take care of the livelihood. Of course you have to generate a livelihood, but in antiquity it was important to have a very strong foundation before you go down the deep end of spirituality. It was very important to have livelihoods set up, have shelter, have security, have these things set up so you could actually then embrace those deeper levels of questioning all of existence and really doing the internal personal work and dissolving all the false narratives and the conditioning and overcoming that and transcending that. But sometimes when one doesn't have those securities in place and one's born as a light being and doesn't really make sense to this world, well, of course you don't make sense to this world. This is the only planet that we know of that you have to pay to live on it. It's like, what's going on here? What's happening? And of course it doesn't make sense. It's completely ridiculous. And at the same time, when you align with what your gifts truly are, and you align with others. Sometimes ones want to do it all themselves, and they want to manifest it themselves, and they feel like they have to do it themselves. That's one option. The other option is partner with others that can help in the blind spots and the skill sets that you might not have. And then more and more of that co-creation can actually contribute to each other and contribute to a greater cause. And so our belief is that when you become so embodied of the frequency, of the feeling, of the vision that you wish to manifest, you don't chase life, you attract life. And that's the secret. Like, that's really the secret. But why don't we attract the life? It's like, oh, I spend 5 hours in prayer and meditation and it hasn't arrived on my doorstep. What's going on? Well, that's the inner work. Then it's like, okay, so what programming, what 5-year-old was told that money doesn't grow on trees? Well, it's made out of paper, isn't it? It's like, so what 5-year-old was told that you have to, this image of success, especially in the Western world, is this idea of success looks like this pretty picture. No, success is having a pure heart, a virtuous nature, and a smile on your face. When you close your eyes, you feel peace. When you open your eyes, what can I give? How can I show up? Like, that to us is success. And, it's not about attaining these high exalted spiritual states. It's about absorbing all aspects of the spectrum of life and grounding that into the here and now and being completely present and fully accepting all that life has to offer, because ultimately it's a reflection of your own creation. And you can either be unconscious of that creation or you can be a conscious creator. And when you partner with other conscious creators, then you have a very powerful field. And that field of resonance attracts that light frequency into your reality. And it all starts with a belief that you're worthy. You're worthy.
We have a question from the Awakening World audience. What are the daily practices you suggest that are most important?
Okay. I feel like I'm doing all the talking here. She's basically like hosting me right now, just talking through me all this wisdom. I don't know where it's coming from. Just honor this shining being right here. So what do? We start our day in reverence, and we start our day with the acknowledgement of that every day is a miracle, every day is precious, every breath. And so taking that first breath, like coming into this reverential nature, like when you take time to bask in the glow of the purity of being, you don't want to settle for anything less. It sort of sets this foundation, it sets this undertone and overtone of your life. It sort of creates this container where you treat it with such purity. And we take that and we open our door to the bathroom and the 4 kittens run out. They jump on top of us and then they purr and they sit, and they are Zen masters. They are like so rewarding just to be together with our kittens. And they meditate with us. We invite them and they meditate with us. And meditation can look like any different practice that you feel accustomed to. It can be a guided meditation, it can be a silent meditation, it can be an advanced meditation, but ultimately taking that time to set up your container. What you're doing is you're structuring the field. So if you wake up with an alarm and you just jump out of bed, you're going to be, or jump onto your phone, your frequency isn't going to be very coherent. It's not going to be in a very coherent manner. But if you wake up in this reverential and honoring life, appreciating life, acknowledging the gift that life is, and then meditating and cultivating the light inside you and around you, you can start structuring space-time. You structure, basically, you create a coherent signature around your field. And then what you attract is a coherent signal to that. So we recommend, meditating, and maybe it's reciting prayer. Maybe there's a devotion. Maybe you want to contribute in a devotional manner and to a higher power, to a higher calling, to something that reminds you of the love inside you. But when you start off in that space of love, in that space of resonance, that space of coherence, that space of connection, that becomes the foundation for your day. And so starting your day with presence, that's what we recommend. Starting your day with presence and being mindful to continue your day with presence, like returning to that presence. It's so quick to get on the phone and, get caught up in life. But it's important to have those reminders. Come back to your center, come back to what we call 12 o'clock, true north, which is basically a very simple technique, which is visualizing an arrow pointing up at true north, or the small and big hand on the clock pointing at 12 o'clock. And if you do that consistently, you come into this vertical alignment. You have this powerful technology that is your human biology, and this energetic field, this bioenergetic field. When you learn how to master your energy, and you master sort of the invisible energetic expression of your being, and you start tapping into this wisdom inside you, you start becoming really present with life. You become really empowered by life. And so we suggest to start with presence, set up your day with gratitude, appreciation, spend time with your animals, spend time with your children, and spend time with, if you have the honor and blessing, to watch the sunrise. And if you, of course, have to go to work and you have to do what you need to do for your livelihoods, wake up earlier. If you don't like waking up early, go to bed earlier. So it's easy to wake up earlier. And when you do that consistently, you'll notice a big change. You notice a big shift in your response to life. You'll be less reactive and more responsive, and hence more responsible. And so some of the practices that we do sometimes 6-hour practices, 8-hour practices, sometimes even longer. So, we, depending upon what we're doing, whether we're working, healing, whether we're, there's many different things that we do that sometimes don't pertain to this world. But ultimately, coming to presence, coming to resonance. And, there's many different... Yeah, that's another beautiful skill set, is opening your heart to the sun every morning, inviting the light into your heart every morning, and calling in more the life principle, the life force principle, into your body, feeling like every single cell becomes a sun, becomes a point of light, and is just opening up more and more light in your life. And as you start cultivating more and more light, then you can shine more and more lights onto others. And we also recommend, intermediate fasting is a good thing to stay empty in the morning periods when you're doing this meditation. It's harder to meditate on a full stomach. So making sure that you're meditating and you're cultivating in a more of an empty state. Okay. Yeah.
There's one last question, and that's, what advice do you have for someone who's struggling with loving themselves?
Mm-hmm. So it's important to know there's a big difference between who we think we are as ourself and who we really are as the self. It's hard to love ourselves when we've been conditioned to believe that we are this person with these shadows and that we don't like our body, doesn't fit the image of the mainstream narrative. We have been told from heartbreaking relationships that we're not good enough and we don't know how to give love, or we haven't felt love because we haven't had loving parents in our life and we haven't had role models that have exemplified what love truly is. It's hard to even know what love is, let alone who you truly are in those situations. And so it's not about needing to love the person that you think you are. It's about acknowledging that when you stop that identity, when you stop that story for a moment, love is present. So you don't actually have to love yourself. It's actually impossible to love yourself because you actually are love. But the mind can't handle this. It's sort of like, no, give me an object so I can love that or project my love onto that object. But that's the unfortunate thing, is that we're taught that we have to give love or we have to exemplify our worth through acts of love. But ultimately, when we just stop for a moment and let the story be the story, just let the story be the story, but let it go for a moment. Just park it at the door for a moment and just drop into the heart, be present with the heart, breathe into the heart, and breathe from that space internally. Love won't be something that you find. Love will be something that finds you. And that's something that is really important to remember, is that if you can't love the person that you are, if you can't love the image that you see in life, then you have to allow yourself to see beyond the image, see beyond the person. And when you give yourself a moment and focus on something that you do love, maybe you love the sunsets, maybe you love an innocent child, maybe you love beautiful animals, maybe there's a piece of music that you love. When you can start listening or focusing or paying attention to the things that evoke a feeling of connection, a feeling of love inside you, and then you allow that feeling to go deeper and deeper inside you, the person that you think you are will start dissolving and the love that you truly are will start emanating. And then love finds you in such a way that it becomes you. And so loving who you are, you might have loved who you were in your 20s, you might have loved who you were in your 30s, but you didn't love who you were in your 40s. Like, this is always this transitional identity that's changing every single day. We're talking about a love that's unchanging. We're talking about the true self that isn't based on conditioning, that isn't based on the appearance, isn't based on the narrative. It's actually what you already are. And all you have to do is drop your defenses around that. That's ultimately the journey that everyone's on, is to be so innocent. All the defenses melt away. And there's this one thing that we all have in common, and it's the love that we truly are inside. So whether you love yourself, your image, your personality, your perception, that's not the love that we're speaking about. The love that we're speaking about is the impersonal love, is a love that remains when everything goes. Is that what you said, my love? I think I heard you.
I feel that I have the perfect musical way to express this that has been shared so beautifully. And what an incredible space that we are in here. Feeling so blessed. Here we go. This is called Map of Souls. Take your time. It's your master plan, guiding you back home again. As the maidens cry, tears through the veils. Take your precious time, step by step, the tombs unsealed, lifetimes buried, now revealed. Feel the moonlight dance these ancient times. Step by step, you'll find
What more is there to say? Thank you, beloved. That was gorgeous and stunning. We quite enjoy the weaving.
It's amazing how the words that come through then are choosing the next, or informing the next music that wants to be.
Ah,
And
it's
then the music takes the space and the questions come and they just really.
Thank you. You know, it's important to also mention that when it comes to love, we must act in that expression of love. And how do we act towards simple things like what we put in our body? You know, do we love the food that we put in our body? Do we take care of the food that becomes the body ultimately? Do we love the programming that sometimes you choose to maybe listen to or watch a video clip or something, stream something online? Now you're in a different container, and this is obviously feeding your soul, food for your soul, but you also have to be aware, like, what are you paying attention to? What are you giving your valuable attention and awareness to? Is it invoking more love in your life, or is it bringing questions of fear responses? You know, what words do you choose to share? How do you choose to speak to yourself and others? It's hard to love yourself unconditionally if you don't express love and kindness towards others. You know, there's ways in which it's important to emulate that love, to bring out that love. It's important to have what we call faith it till you make it. Instead of the saying fake it, forget the fake part, have faith. You know, have faith in a greater purpose that's brought you here. It's brought you here right now. And when you treat others with the kindness that they deserve, not everyone will treat you with that kindness. You know, that's going to happen. You know, some people will treat you based on their own conditioning of how they treat themselves. That's up to you to stand firm with the compassion that you have inside yourself, which gives you the mastery to not to react and get pulled into, you know, certain dramas and problems. But ultimately, it's about being an expression of love. Like, what really would love do in this situation? Ask yourself these questions consistently. This will allow the unconscious mind to want to answer it. If you keep doing that again and again and again, it will come out from you and you'll surprise yourself. You'll surprise yourself how loving and how kind and how generous you truly actually already are. How virtuous you truly are. But you have to also express that virtue with how do you treat your body? How do you treat your mind? How do you treat your heart? How do you treat others? And when you treat each other with kindness, with the virtues, then you're sowing those seeds that actually then return back to you again and again. Not because you want it to return back to you, but that's just the laws of the universe. That's the ultimate proof of self-love, is it being expression of love to others. Yeah. It's very easy to sometimes get quite selfish and like love themselves and become so sort of self-absorbed and pretend that you're loving yourself in ways that are unhealthy. sometimes it gets muddled with actually what self-love is. Sometimes love is actually being quite disciplined with your actions. And when we recognize if we are disciplined, meaning if we get on the mat and we do yoga, what follows discipline is also joy. Discipline isn't what you sacrifice, it's actually it actually goes hand in hand with joy. No one meditates and goes, oh, I wish I didn't meditate. Or does a beautiful yoga set and goes, oh, I wish I didn't do yoga today. No, there's a natural glow that comes from doing that. And so when you seed every aspect of your life with love in a different spectrum of what we're expressing love as, that can become something that returns to you more effortlessly. Is there any questions?
When I look to answer this question, what would love do? I notice that there's times where I could gain greater clarity in regards to when I might be going into an unhealthy codependency or a martyrdom, you know, that kind of like, let me just keep loving you, and maybe I'm not in balance or in my center, or perhaps I'm even enabling. And so I'm wondering if there are some words you could bring to help clarify the challenge of answering this question, what would love do?
Absolutely. Love is mastery. Love is mastery. You know, it's easy to judge codependency, but when we acknowledge that a child needs to be codependent to actually be raised, then that's something that is obvious. You know, so codependency has its use in the way in which it lives its life. Now, what happens though is that when we enable and we keep sort of giving of ourselves, we forget that balance. And so love ultimately always seeks balance. It's always seeking that balance because it is the balance of the entire spectrum of life, the entire spectrum of this universe, in fact. So it's a question of mastery as much as it is as a question of affection or a question of sort of adoration or an emotional expression. Love is on multiple levels. It's the physical level, it's the emotional level, the mental level, and the spiritual level. But ultimately, love is complete neutrality. Love is not overgiving or undergiving. It's giving the perfect amount when required. And so that is the discovery that everyone has to find. What is that balance? Because what love brings out is a coherence. It brings a resonance into the container with you and others that doesn't overpower or underpower. It holds a frequency that's elevating. And sometimes it's things you don't do that are actually more loving than the things that you do in specific containers. So the question, what would love do, is first, it's a question to return you back to the presence, being present with what it is. And when you tap into that, it's about having mastery in that situation. And if you want to love someone, but your love is unreceived or taken for granted, then that's not the love that's required in that situation. Love is like a palette of many colors. It's up to you to find the right color for that picture of that life situation. Yes, love only knows how to give from a full cup. Love gives from a saucer. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Is there any more questions for us? Yes.
Some of us want to seek a safe place, not focus on see it outwardly. There seems to be some very real deep challenges from the biological sphere we're living in. This whole narrative arguments of this there are questions to ask. None of them have been asked before, but for this period of time,
Yes. So the question is, what is our perception of the current world situation where there's seemingly crisis after crisis, there's wars occurring, there's ultimately the whole level of society had shifted over the last few years with much that has unfolded on the entire world stage in every country. A lot of the suppression, the misinformation that's happening in the world, and so a lot of the political arena is being divided. And this is a good question, and ultimately, the world is always going to be the world. The world is always going to unfold in different dynamics. There's always uncertainty. What we always suggest is that, taking every day as it comes when it unfolds. You can't control the unfoldment of the world, but right now we can see it from a sort of holistic level that's going through a rebirth. And in giving birth, there's pains, there's contractions, there's things that one has to sort of acknowledge that there is painful realities, but ultimately right now, more truth is coming to the surface. We're living in a very interesting time that there's so much suppression and there's misinformation that's spread, but there's also this great rise of truth. There's actually a thirst for truth. And yes, there's countries that are in dire situations, and it's inhumane on every single level. And there comes a time where many ask this question, like, when will humankind ever learn, really? And there's an opportunity right now. There's an opportunity for greater peace and unity to come. We're in this very technologically advanced level where there's this advent of AI, which is super questionable right now, which is a lot of anxiety for many to what's coming in that space. But as we've moved into this Aquarian age, the main intention and the main sort of message of an Aquarian age, or the Aquarian sign, if we look at it from sort of the psychological connection to astrology, is humanitarianism. It's all about humanitarianism, and we don't really see that much on the world stage right now. But we've just entered into that. So there's this entering in to this, and right now there is this rite of passage that's playing out. But things can shift quickly. Like, we can acknowledge, if it can get that divided that quickly over a short years, how much progress can be made for the other end of the scale. As dark as it can seem to get, is also how much more coherence, more light that it can get as well. And so we have to look at life and take responsibility for what we can take responsibility for. because at the world stage, there's many things that are out of your control. But what we do know is when we start coming together and we do meditate together and we do have a coherent signature, it's been proven that that does lower crime rate. That does create a coherent frequency out to the world. So what we can do, instead of seeing the image out there and giving it more energy to that, but we come and create a world that we want to live in. And we share those values together. And it doesn't mean that we isolate ourselves from the world, so we create our own false bubble that everything's perfect. No, it means that we can come together and we can create a resolution and solutions where there seems to be problems. And sometimes when we come together in a container and we can offset some of the discordance in the collective field, many people can make quite a significant effect. And so we are great believers of the power of everyone coming together and inspiring that, because it's sometimes easier to get caught up in the drama of life than actually being proactive and coming together and cultivating a life that we want to live from the inside out. And so our suggestion is the world is always going to change, but ultimately it's mirroring the conditioning of the human mind right now. And so many people are struggling with their own limitations. And sometimes one has to go to the depths of suffering to get to a point to go, you know what, I want to make new choices now. I want to choose a new path. And so at the same time as all the world is looking like this, there's also a great awakening happening at the same time. When you focus your attention on that, it brings inspiration to want to continue supporting that great awakening. That's also you're a part of. We don't have all the answers, and no one ever does. But if we come together, we can create solutions for any perceptual problem, because that is the greatness of the human spirits, is that no matter what is going on out there, when we come inside ourselves and we come together collectively and we focus on what really is important, we can make an effect. We do matter. We are powerful in that way. And love is more powerful than any fear that is being plaguing the world. And when we can switch each one of our lights on, then it will start by osmosis, switching on the ones that actually make those decisions in higher echelons of society. And we feel that there's a big renaissance right now, and a renaissance of truth. And there's more truth that's coming out, and there's a lot of suppression, but that's just creating a voice for why truth's so important. And this country has the power to influence in a very positive way the entire world. And it's an opportunity. We are a part of that opportunity. And so we must make sure that we choose the right leaders that are expressing truth. And we also become an expression of that truth that we want to see. So I don't know if that answers your question, but ultimately healing and harmonizing the conflict internally will allow you to not maybe make sense of what's going on in the world, but make you resilient to whatever faces your world. Changes on the horizon, though. Do want to bear good news. Yes.
Working through betrayal and finding forgiveness.
Yes. Yeah. So working through the pain of betrayal and finding forgiveness. Good question. Great question. You know, it's important before there can be forgiveness for someone to actually recognize and acknowledge where they might have stepped out of line, where they might have made decisions that weren't based on the common decency of the virtues of the human relationship. So If that can't be had, then of course it becomes an internal job, and it's always an internal job and focus. But first, if there is a reconciliation in a container, in a relationship, there has to be this acknowledging what needs to be forgiven for starters. Because if someone's values are basically defending their choices, then forgiveness can't be found in that container. So that's the first thing. And when there's a reconciliation, a natural remorse, a natural acknowledgement of like, okay, I've learned from that, then it becomes an opportunity to resolve that consciously together. But there has to be healthy boundaries in that setting. Now, if there's not the opportunity for that, how does one find forgiveness? So if there's not that opportunity to find forgiveness in those types of container, it's interesting because there's many layers to this. So there's layers to this why is one attracted to that situation in life? So always bringing it back to yourself is the most noble path and the courageous path that's not always easy. Like, how do I attract this type of relationship when this happens? And when one sometimes doesn't have the ability to see beyond this life stream, so doesn't see anything else, and then it becomes sometimes a cliche, oh, it's the karma thing, oh, it's because I attracted it from another lifetime. But there is some truth to that. And also, when it comes to actually resolving that, forgiveness is not for the other person. Forgiveness isn't for the situation. Forgiveness is for yourself. But the truth is that forgiveness can never be forced. It's not something that you can just make happen. Forgiveness can only come when you acknowledge that whatever happens in your life has been given to you for an opportunity and a part of your soul's journey to evolve, to learn. Sometimes it can be very harsh. Sometimes it can be very, very intense. But ultimately, when you come to a space inside yourself where you can maybe not need to make sense of the situation, the person's actions, the choices that were made. But when you can see underneath all of that and see that the person that has done that has been hurting very, very deeply all along, and have compassion for their soul, that allows you to connect at a soul level. When you connect at a soul level, forgiveness actually happens. When you can see someone for their soul, not for their human conditioning, because everyone makes the choices on their human conditioning. What has been done to them, what they've experienced in life, it's all based on their human conditioning. When you can pierce through that, it doesn't give them consent for that. It actually, you fortify what you feel is right and the values that you've set in a healthy container. But ultimately, when you touch in with their soul and have compassion for the suffering that they're experiencing, to make those choices, to do those actions, then there can be a reconciliation happen, and forgiveness comes not because you're forcing it, because you're allowing it to come. Did you hear that? It was really good. But forgiveness, true forgiveness, is pain that never existed. That's true forgiveness. And that's a hard one to swallow. That's a hard one. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. And forgiveness unbinds you. So for example, when there is any types of grudges or anything that's holding on, forgiveness allows to unbind you and unchain you from that soul contract of that experience that you had. So you can be free to choose. Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes you have to experience what love isn't through the actions of relationships and containers and family dynamics, to come closer to what it truly is inside. But forgiveness isn't something that can be forced, but it's when you acknowledge that everything in your life is giving you the opportunity to evolve. It's giving you the opportunity for freedom. When you look at life like that, it ultimately allows you to touch a level deeper. And when you can touch the nature of one soul and your soul, and compassion can come from that, then freedom arises for you. And it really helps to tune into your body. Like, where do you feel that pain? Like, okay, I feel this betrayal. Where do I feel it in my body? Like, oh, I feel it in my heart. Oh my gosh, it feels really heavy here. Oh, wow, when did I feel betrayal another time? Oh, well, I felt betrayed maybe at 9 years old when this happened in my life. And maybe when a parent did this to me in my life. Oh, wow, that's actually what's hurting more. You drop into that, and you go into that, the inner psychology and the inner child, and you start freeing those perceptions that's been held and actually trapped to that situation. When you free that inside you, all of a sudden, there's the pain that actually never existed. It was actually just based upon memories within the field. And when that misinformation is alleviated, you become free. So there's many different skills and techniques to do it, but ultimately using your body as a map to where you're holding it, because that's forgiveness happens when you let go. Forgiveness won't happen if you're still holding on.
Kind of like almost like seeing the situation through God's eyes in a way, like the perfection of the souls and the love, and that humanity doesn't exist really in certain levels.
Yeah, it's not ignoring it. It's not ignoring that it didn't happen or it doesn't exist. It's acknowledging that there's something greater than just the human level. It's something greater than just that. It's something greater than just that perception. And when you tap into that vision, that unconditional vision, there's no more you and them. And when that divide is overcome, where's the pain? There's only yourself the whole time. And then you wake up out of that dream, of that experience, of that narrative, and you're no longer controlled by it, and you're free from it. It takes a while to get there, but there is a there to get to.
I've been volunteering at Celia's house for the last year and a half. Organization that you're supporting tonight.
Yes.
I don't know if everybody here knows what Celia's house is.
Yes.
But I'd just like to share that it's been incredible. My experience has been such an incredible privilege to get to see the people that get the transition on so many levels. Like, just a profound opportunity to myself. So, because of COVID, the organizations that have volunteers going into the home, they stopped for the last 3 years. So now they're opening up again. So anyone that feels drawn to that kind of work, it's really not work, really. It's really just a profound opportunity Not only the process of transition, which more important than I really didn't know how much dying was. And to sit with someone after powerful.
Beautiful.
I just encourage anyone that might have thought that they might like.
Thank you. What's your name?
My name is Avram.
Of Avram? Avram is just sharing, just want to repeat. Thank you, Avram. Sharing his transformative experience in hospice, just helping souls transition. Noble work and service, and encouraging anyone that would like to be a part of that and volunteer. And we would also second that. And it is very sacred. It's a very sacred opportunity to be with someone as they're transitioning. You know, there's a lot of fear sometimes around the whole idea of death, and to be in such a loving container and support can help someone tremendously. And one thing that helps with the idea and sometimes the fear of passing is that, do you have fear going to sleep at night, falling asleep? The answers for most would be, not all, would be no. And that's as quickly as it can be in that transition. And becoming conscious, really conscious of the preciousness of life, the sacredness of life is again something that needs to be brought into the frontier of your life, in the front reality of your awareness, to be really aware how much of a miracle it is, and that when there is that transition, to help others through that, you know, what a supreme blessing. We really want to encourage and teach community how to consciously pass, how to consciously transition out of the body when that time comes. And you can, that also alleviates fear, is when you can consciously transition at any moment, when you can actually leave the body at will, and leave through certain ways, that this becomes a sacred practice. And you know, life is the initiation and the preparation for the perfect death. That's what life is. This is what the Egyptians believed, that life is the initiation for the perfect death. And ultimately, the perfect death is leaving and then being rebirthed into the hereafter. So I want to also acknowledge and honor the volunteer work that is being done, and also encourage others to support. It's really, really special.
Someone, and that ultimately hurt myself more probably than that person. I think that the minute when I would help someone else, yeah, I feel much better. And in that feeling, in that alignment, beloved Avram came to me and talked to me about the answers. And so that's how that was with tonight. And I just want to reassure that we have already a couple of of angels here, and it's going to be an army of angels that's going to come and help the hospice for sure. We have already many names that are that willing to help, because yeah, I know that many know here what love would do with it.
Absolutely.
And we have, you know, to put your beautiful words into practice. That's
Yes, words are only words unless they're put into action, then they become your life. So thank you, each and every one of you, for joining this sacred and special Haven 2.0 opening and beginning. Thank you so much to our beloved artist, Kristin. Thank you, Kristin, for your beautiful, beautiful voice. It's been a joy, truly.
Our Awakening World audiences, this has been an amazing feast of wisdom and sacred music. And 65 people very grateful.
Do we need to, what song would it be if there was one more? And honoring this beautiful hospice service that has been called forth, and I just want to end with this piece called Soul's Calling, which I think of as both that calling of the soul back home, or calling for the soul back home, and also as you are in these bodies, it's that call that is always there for you, always there. The soul's calling. And it is in the language of the soul. So just listen, and no need to think in words, just think in love and in spirit and in soul. Or actually, don't think at all. Feel, receive in love and spirit. Let's pause with our thinking and feel. We will pause. radiating, pouring with so much heart. I feel the divine essence just here tonight, and I'm so grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Scott, thank you for your vision and for your beautiful heart.
And a reminder that we have a lot of wonderful events now happening at Haven 2.0. So please come and join us. We're going to be doing meditation every night at 6:30 p.m. right up here. Of course, we have Nicholas's yoga on Wednesdays. Every Thursday night, we're going to have a special event. Next Thursday night, a week from tonight, Chad Wilkins, an amazing musical artist, all the way from Australia, will be with us. Every Friday night, KES Healings. So please, let's all come back tomorrow night for KES with Mia and the other healers. On Monday nights, we're going to have music nights with Maggie. And that's going to be fun. And we're going to add other things, more yoga, more Qigong.
And Saturday
Deborah?
morning. Saturday morning. Saturday morning.
And Saturday morning, we have our Compassionate Connections, which is a chance for us to all come together in circle and really listen to each other and share. And that's going to start this Saturday at 9 o'clock in the morning, 9 a.m., and then at 11 a.m., the Miracle Mentorship. So we'll watch it right from here. We'll go straight from that into Miracle Mentorship at 11 a.m., and that's this Saturday the 15th. So thank you, everybody, for coming, and thank you for supporting Celia's House. And thank you, of course, our beloved TwinRay, our teachers. Thank you so much.
Kristin, come back. Don't ever leave.
Come back. I do have some CD. I have brought 12 if anyone would like one. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Love you.
And thank you, beautiful Awakening World audience. It was so wonderful to have you with us tonight. Come back on our next event, will be Saturday night. And we have Soul Search, Meet the Psychics. It's going to be a beautiful night. Saturday night, 6 o'clock Pacific time. We'll see you all then. Thank you, beloved Brother Omashar, for your music at the beginning. And I look forward to seeing all of you on Saturday night. Good night, everyone.